This is John Stahl-Wert, and along with all of my colleagues at World Serving Leaders, we're on a mission to encourage and support leaders around the world to make the biggest positive impact they can make for others through their leadership. I want to say a few words to young leaders in this podcast. And if you are an older leader and you sometimes feel maybe that you missed the instruction when you were a younger leader, go ahead and listen in. It might be helpful to you as well. I spend a great deal of time in the C-suite with owners, founders, CEOs, presidents, plant managers, and so forth. So I certainly do learn a lot in working with them about their journey, and they all were themselves at one point younger leaders. But almost invariably, they bring me into their companies where I get to meet people all the way down through. And I listen to certain things that are expressed by people who are starting their journey, early in their journey, and wanting to sort out who they are and how they should position themselves in life to make the impact that they will feel is meaningful and satisfactory. And I want to make three suggestions in my reflections to you as younger leaders or older leaders still learning. I hope that's everybody. First of all, make the investment in figuring yourself out. It's not selfish. It's not self-centered to want to be a good steward of who you are. You know, the people around you have given you feedback, and that's valuable. They've observed things. If you were around good people, I hope you were, but you know, we're around the people we're around, but we've gotten feedback about who we are. And we've been told things about ourselves by others, and that's useful. You know, you're good at this, you're not good at that. Sit up straight, try to work harder, you know, don't give up. We get that kind of data. But there is data that you can gain by making the investment in your own discovery as well. And I encourage you to do that. There are things that you are aware of that the people around you observing you can't be aware of because you're living on the interior, you're living the real life of you. And I want you to make that investment. So on this first comment I'm making to you, make the investment in understanding who you are and how you're made. There are things like what brings you to life when you're doing it. What kind of a day of work is a day of work you feel great at the end of the day? I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say, you know, it was smooth, because that's a different piece of data. But when that kind of a day was over, man, you feel satisfied. You feel glad that you did it, and you want to do it again. Pay attention to those things. Other people aren't going to know that about you. Other people are going to know what you are naturally good at. And they're going to tell you, wow, you're good at that. But I can tell you that the things that bring you to life, the things that energize you, the things that you glide over to and pay attention to and want to think more about or want to do more of or want to practice more of, might be things that you're naturally good at, or might be things that you are okay at, but there's an energy for it, and only you know that. And we know from the performance studies that, you know, have been done fully on human performance that there has to be a marriage in our work between things we can do and things that are life-giving, energizing, meaningful for us to do. Do some journaling. And I don't mean this has to be a deep exercise, but make notes of the kinds of projects you look forward to. Make notes of the kind of projects you did in the past that you keep remembering fondly. Give yourself data. This is a lifetime discovery process. Who am I and how was I designed and what am I best for and what gives me the greatest sense of life? Those questions are not resolved in a year or a decade. We keep learning. But I'm telling you that we have to make a decision to pay attention to those questions. What am I best for? What is best for me? What causes me to stand taller and breathe more deeply and look forward more? What are those things? Pay attention to them. You might not be in the circumstance right now to do those things. That's all right. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Your current job might not give you much of that. That's okay. That's life. We start somewhere on the journey. Getting good at stuff, getting skillful at stuff, learning responsibility, learning how to deliver, learning how to work with teammates, learning how to please a boss. That's a learning process. And the learning process that you are in right now, whether still in school or at work, might not have all the elements. Now, let me say that more strongly. Likely does not have the elements that you will ultimately want in your work, such that when you go to work, you're in the sweet spot of who you are. But if you don't pay attention to who you are, it's going to be very hard to navigate toward it. So that's the first thing. Pay attention to what brings you to life, to what energizes you, to what creates anticipation, and at the end of the day, to what creates satisfaction that was a good day. And let me just underscore something I already said. Being exhausted at the end of a day does not mean it was not a good day. We have to ask the question, am I glad I got to do that today? There are certain things I do that I find truly require all of me. And at the end of the day, man, I'm done, but I loved the day. And so the data isn't what's easy. That is, some things might be easy and we love it, and some things might be hard and we love it. The data isn't what's easy. The data is what do I look forward to, what brings me to life, what energizes me, and what gives me satisfaction when the day is over. Secondly, what am I doing right now? I'm suggesting some guidance for young leaders. What's that? Is that coming through?
Pause 1 second.
We can keep going once you're okay with that. I don't think in all the time I've been here that's ever happened.
We're on a text message chain, so they know that I'm filming.
Yeah.
And they know that I'm filming.
Are we continuing to roll?
We're continuing to roll.
Great.
Start with second.
Yeah. What am I doing right now? I'm talking about some points of counsel or guidance for young leaders and older leaders, if you care to listen. Secondly, in your current work situation, and let me now zero in particularly on your arc of work, I want you to ask yourself the question, what does the company I serve or what does the boss I serve need from me? What is it that my company is wrestling with that is causing them difficulty? What are the pain points my boss is wrestling with that is causing her or him difficulty? And what can I do in whatever position I'm in, lowly as it is? What can I do to fix that? Now, I'm just telling you, this is not a common question. The number of young people starting their career, I sound like an old guy, which I am. At 67 years of age, I was 17 just about a minute ago, and so I haven't forgotten. But let me go on talking like an old person. The number of young people that I talk with who say to me, man, I just don't understand why my boss doesn't appreciate how valuable I am. I mean, what am I going to do to get their attention? I really wish they knew I could do more. I mean, I know I agreed to this job, but I see some other things that I think would be more fun for me and I think I'd be really good at. I hear this a lot. Let me recommend you lay that aside and ask a different investigative question. And the question is, what are the struggles my boss is having? Getting the results of our team delivered. And then ask yourself the question, can you fix that? Can you help with that? Make yourself a student of the company, the team, the supervisor, and your colleagues, and look at your own capabilities and look at the challenge in front of you and raise your hand to help. I assure you that if you want to be noticed at work for the valuable person you are, I'm not making light of that, the valuable person you are, you will get noticed if you solve issues for others. You will get noticed if you make yourself a student of your boss and do more that causes that man, that woman to be able to be more successful. So that's the second thing. Number one, be a student of yourself. That's lifelong. That's lifelong. Who are you? What motivates you? What energizes you? What satisfies you? What brings you joy? Number two, be a student of your boss, your supervisor, your team. You can criticize them if that's what you want to do. We don't make headway, very well that way. Or you can sit back and lament the fact that they don't appreciate you enough. You can do all those things. But I'm addressing what helps you make headway. And for the limited time now that you are with this boss, this isn't lifetime that you're with that person. Whether that person is good or bad, you are working for them and you are getting a paycheck from them and you made an agreement to take the job. So for the limited time you are with them, make yourself a student of serving them excellently. And what you will get in exchange for that is one of two things. One, you'll gain their recognition. They will notice. Perhaps the things that you are dissatisfied with are not built into their character, but just into the crucible of the pain they're suffering. They might be a person of good character, weighted down by all the things they have to pay attention to and take care of. And if that's the case, they're going to recognize that you're helping them. And recognizing that you're helping them, they're going to appreciate you. They're going to pay more attention to you. They're going to become more curious about you. And you're going to get more opportunities to serve in greater alignment to how you're made and so forth. Now, if they are a person whose difficulties are rooted in character, I wouldn't say that you will automatically and guaranteed get more appreciation from them. Life isn't a magic formula where you do certain things and you always get certain results. You can do excellent work for an unworthy boss and not be appreciated for that excellent work. That's life. But it still is good for you to behave that way. It will bank lessons for you. Because if you are an excellent worker, bringing your A game to an unworthy boss, that excellence belongs to you. And when you leave that boss and bring yourself back out into the marketplace, you take that excellence with you. One of my mentors said to me many years ago, he said, John, I don't like to try to focus on things I can't control. And he said, one of the things I can't control is success, but I can control excellence. And this man's name is Bruce Bickle. In case, Bruce, you're listening to this, I love you. My friend Bruce is going through great suffering these days because of illnesses. Bruce said to me 20 years ago, I like to focus on things I can control. And to tell you something I can control my excellence. And he said, you can bring excellence to a completely unworthy boss, and you can get fired by that boss for your excellence. I can tell you stories of how that works, where people of unworthy character resent workers of excellence and punish them for it. And Bruce said, the great thing about being fired for being excellence is you get to keep your excellence. And then you get the chance to bank all the lessons learned and walk down the street and go to work for someone who is more excellent and more deserving of what you bring. So secondly, my recommendation for young leaders is become a student of your boss and ask yourself, how can I help them? Not how is this going to build my resume, or how can I get recognition quicker, or how can I get that pay raise immediately or that promotion, but rather, how can I help? How can I take away pain, and how can I help grow this enterprise? And then third, this is a much more intimate question that different people answer in different ways. There are spiritual answers to this question. There are philosophical answers to this question. I tend to answer it in a spiritual vein, but I'm quite comfortable however you go about it. Ask yourself the longer arc question. What is that purpose here in this world that I am for? Marrying who I am, how I'm made, with the experience I've been given, the learnings I have added, where is this taking me? My life is not for myself. I'm not here for me. We become more and more alive. Literally, life becomes bigger when we lay down a white-knuckled grip on our life. When we ask a different question, what am I for? On the earth, what is my life to serve? Be asking yourself that question. Pay attention. Reach out to people you look up to and ask them to sit down with you. Be on a search for, if I may use the language of call, the call that's on you. What is your calling? We use this language. What is your purpose? What is the impact you're here to make? And I'm not looking for something grandiose here. It is unbelievable to me the impact that human beings make in every dimension of living. It can be to a neighbor child. It can be to a neighborhood. It can be to a friend. It can be to a spouse. It can be to a community. It can be to a cause. It can be to a pain that wakes you up. Watch for the signs of why you're on the earth, and ask yourself the question, and ask the mentors around you the question, how does my life as you see it add up? And look for the opportunities to bring more of yourself to bear in those realms. Here's a fourth bonus piece of counsel. Be patient. I can't stress it enough. Be patient. I saw a study some years ago looking at the impact of a person's life in the decades of life, our teens, our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, our 50s, and so forth. And I've asked a lot of people over the years what their thoughts are about that. What do you think is the highest impact decade of a human being's life if they live to experience the decades? And I've talked to a lot of hyper-nervous 30-year-olds who tell me the 30s. When I say hyper-nervous, what they're actually telling me is that they are terrified that they've missed the mark. They're 36, 37, 38, and they think, surely high impact is in the 30s and I haven't done anything. And I tell them to be patient, and same with 40s and same with 50s. A lot of people think 50s is it, right? Because, 60s is when you retire. I want to encourage you to be patient. Be kind to yourself. Listen. Understand, again, that the importance of your life isn't measured by heroics. Here's what the data that I read 25 years ago said. Highest impact decade. And they they segregated out of this study money. Because you might think, well, at a certain point you have more money to give. They segregated it out, and they just focused on things that were done, things that were produced, served, solved by human beings. Highest impact decade, 70s. So if you're 60 and you decided to listen in, it's okay. If you're 40, relax. This is a learning journey, this life we're on. Trying to understand who we are, trying to understand how we can help those around us, trying to understand what we're on earth for so we can pay attention to that, being patient. This is a learning journey. It's not a sprint. Highest impact decade, 70s. Second highest impact decade, I wonder what you're thinking, 80s. Third, 60s. And then it goes down from there, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s. I don't know how this sounds to you. Maybe you are 20 years old and full of yourself, and you don't like what I just said because you think that this age is more important. It's not. Every decade gives you opportunity to be of more worth and more use, more grace and more kindness, more wisdom, more experience, more value, more service. Be patient.
For more information about the Center for Serving Leadership, visit our website at centerforservingleadership.com.